When I first started at the Peter Westbrook Foundation, which Mika'il co-founded, I started in foil, and that was pretty much the worst thing that I could start in because my sister Erin also fenced foil, and she was a prodigy. So if you can imagine, as a kid, like I'm losing to my little sister every day in practice, every single day. So it was a nightmare, and it was stunting both of our growth because she just got it really easily. She understood the technique, the tactics, and all of that. And I just couldn't process everything. So as a result, Mika'il and some others suggested that I would be better in saber. And that was the best thing for me because switching to saber kind of like, A, removed me from fencing Erin every day in practice. And B, it allowed me to like kind of grow into like my own person. Because over the first 2 years of my career, I was known as Erin's brother versus Keith, because Erin was winning all of the local events like this and so forth, and I was coming in last at all the local events. And so I realized that once I switched, I found some really good mentors like Mika'il, like a lot of the older guys at the club, and then it was a long path. It was a hard path because I was technically starting fairly late compared to everyone else that had started saber. So I didn't actually start fencing saber till I was about 13 or 14 years old. So if you know, like, there's already 13-year-olds that are winning events. And I hadn't even fenced saber until I was like 13 and 14. And then my coach at the time, Aladar Kogler, he didn't really believe in doing like free fencing with the rest of the guys. He wanted me to learn proper technique. And that meant that I would just do drills hours by myself on a target or doing footwork drills until he felt I was worthy to fence saber, like just free fencing saber. So what that led to was throughout my cadet years, I was just training. I wasn't really going to international competition. And it's kind of funny, but everyone that's in my age category, if you ask them like, who was Keith as a cadet or youth fencer, they're like, we don't know him. Because I never made any cadet teams, and I didn't make any junior teams until my last year of juniors. In fact, I made my first senior team before I made any youth or junior or cadet teams because I wasn't ready. It's all about like setting that big goal, and my big goal was to make an Olympic team. And if I had said that to anybody when I was 15 or 16, they would have said I was crazy. Keeth Smart's going to make the Olympic team, not Keith. And they had every right to say that because she was making all those teams and so forth. But what I did was I just would say, you know what, I'm going to work as hard as possible to get to this point. So I didn't focus on the results or the teams or the uniforms, all that stuff that everybody would talk about when they would come back to the club. It was just for me like, you know what, I only practiced 2 hours last night, I gotta get it 3 hours in tonight. Or yesterday I only got 45 minutes of footwork in, I need to get an hour's worth of footwork because I know that's what it takes to make an Olympic team. Like people say you have to do footwork, lessons, drills, and I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna cut any corners. And what was remarkable is that it all just started to click by the time I was 19. And most people, all of my contemporaries had started to give up on the sport by then.
Harvey Miller,
right. A bunch of others like Crompton, the Laval brothers, and so forth.
Right.
Where these guys are way, way, way more talented than me. Agile, just really tough competitors, but they didn't have that grit. And grit is something that you either have or you don't, where you're willing to like just grind it out. And like most of my success came from, even as a fencer, as somebody that was just willing to work harder than everybody else on the strip. And that even exemplified when I was in Europe. I would go to Europe and people would say, who is this crazy American who's just going up and down the strip? Because most Americans, anyone in Europe, if you go to a World Cup, they want to look pretty. They want to look great for the cameras and everything else, and look really cute. And for me, it was like, hey, I wasn't sponsored to get here, so I'm paying my own way. So now I got to figure out, I'm going to make the most of this. So I'm just going to like go up and down the strip for about 45 minutes, see how long they can last, because I've been doing footwork for a long time. So let's see if they can outlast me just by doing footwork, up and down, just grinding it out. Well, basically what happened to me in 2008 at one of the last Olympic trial events, I went to Algeria in North Africa and ate something out when the rest of the team didn't. And when I came home, I was diagnosed with a rare blood disease, and I was placed in intensive care for 2 weeks. So the question wasn't whether I was going to fence again, it was whether I was going to live. And it really put a lot in perspective because a lot of doctors were like, you know, let's just get your affairs in order because of how bad like this disease was attacking my body. And fortunately, because I was an Olympic level athlete, they were able to put me on a very aggressive steroid treatment where my body was able to respond, and it ended up being like a medical case study of how quickly I was able to recover.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it was so, after I got out of the hospital, like the thing that kind of like threw that whole last 4 months crazy were my mother also passed away about a month after I got out of the hospital.
I remember that.
So, you know, like she was, I think that's kind of like what did it in for her because she was so worried about my own health. And then, so basically, I had to start all over again with my training. So I had lost 2.5 months of all physical activity.
How much weight had you lost?
I lost about 20 pounds. So, and the Olympics were only 6 to 8 weeks away. And the U.S. Olympic Committee, they invested a lot of money in me. And at that point, they said, you know what, we got to get the alternate ready. Ivan Lee and Ben Igo, they got to get ready to start going because we don't think Keith is going to be ready. I lost a lot of weight. They didn't know what my mental state was. They didn't know where I was as a person. And basically, I just had to like get focused in terms of like being confident that I had worked so hard and having faith and belief in that I could achieve my goals again. And really relying on my teammates, my coaches, my mentors, and like basically focusing on like that long-term goal of, you know what, I've worked 4 years to get to the Olympics and I'm 8 weeks away and they're not gonna let me go. This isn't gonna end this way. Right. So I gotta believe, and I just worked hard, and those were probably like the hardest 3 to 4 months of my life, just sacrificing everything to gain weight, gain muscle, everything.
Amazing. Going up against Russia, and you were I believe, one of the last bouts, or the last bout, and you were down, I think, by 10 or 15 touches. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So the thing that made that Olympic bout so crazy was 4 years earlier in Athens, I was the anchor. My job was always as the anchor of Team USA. Basically, I was responsible for closing out the mat. And in Athens, we were fencing twice for a medal. And for the bronze medal, we were up 40 to 35 against a Russian guy, Poznikov. And we had a huge lead. At the time, it was insurmountable. Like never before in Olympic history has somebody blown a 40 to 35 lead for a medal. And I lost 45-44.
Wow.
And I was devastated. My teammates were devastated. Everybody was devastated, and it was my fault. No one else to blame but me. And I had to deal with that. So fast forward 4 years, the mirror scenario where now fencing against Russia to get into the medal round again. Now I'm fencing down 40 to 35 against the same opponent.
Pressure.
In 2004, I blamed everyone but myself. I was like, oh, the ref cheated me. Oh, the guy jumped the line.
So you took ownership.
Ownership, yeah. And that's exactly what I had to do. I said, you know what? I have to like be fully confident that this is all on me. The guys gave me a deficit, but they did their job. So now I just got to fence one touch at a time. And one touch being confident that I'll get the next touch. Don't focus on like the end result, just one touch at a time.
One touch at a time.
Yeah, and that's literally what I did. Just one touch. I wasn't even looking at the score. It was like, all right, I got one touch. he did this action, now I got to do the next touch. Setting it up. And next thing you know, it's like 44, 43. I'm like, whoa, all right. And I'm not zoning out of it, what everybody's saying and everything else. Just one touch at a time. And after the match, when I won, you know, people were like, I've never seen someone first fence like that, where, you know, we were by far the huge underdogs. We had all these issues leading into the games, and then to overcome all of that adversity and just stay focused on like that one goal of like winning the next touch and then the next touch.
2015, you've been busy, man, these last couple of years. You got married, you got a master's from Columbia, and recently you started an Indiegogo campaign for your new company, and you raised $135,000 in 3 days. Talking about hustle. You want to talk to us about that?
No, yeah, thank you. So basically, when I stopped competing after the Olympics in Beijing, I wanted to figure out what was next for me. And like for my parents, they weren't around at Beijing, so they had always strived for education. Education was the most important thing. So I decided that I was going to go back to school, business school, to get a master's. And then over the past 3 or 4 years, I'd always had a passion for fitness and entrepreneurship. Fitness because of the Olympics and how much it had changed my family's life. And then entrepreneurship because I've seen like how well it's served like a lot of my mentors, including Mika'il and Bob Cottingham. And these are guys that I've always looked up to. So the opportunity to create a fitness clothing line with doctors from NYU that I met a few years ago presented itself, and basically we've launched a company called Physical, where we have resistance bands in compression wear. So it's to help athletes train. So when you wear it, you're working your leg muscles by 25% more, burning 14% more calories. And the reason why I created this was when I was training for the Olympics, we would always use resistance bands, because you can't travel with weights, you know, you're going to Europe back and forth, blah, 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 but you still got to get your workouts in. So if I'm in Europe for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we would have resistance bands, and it's very mobile, but no one had ever tried to integrate resistance bands in clothing. So my business partners and I have been working on this for about 3 weeks, and we finally 2 years, and we finally figured out the way to like integrate resistance bands in clothing, and now we're in the market. We have a partnership with a Chinese manufacturer, so same company that makes Under Armour, Nike, all of those activewear manufacturers, and we've gotten a lot of good press. So I really appreciate the support of the fencing community, and it's really helped me a lot.
Awesome, amazing, Keith. I don't want to take too much more of your time. We got to get back to this competition. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate your support. I know you're going to do big, big things. I know you're going to crush the market with this new business venture. So excited. Everybody, please give it up for Keeth Smart.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck, everyone. Have fun today.